Please, those who are standing at the back, kindly take your seats, please. Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, CON. Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Mrs. Sadia Umar Farouk Sadiq. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Mrs. Lydia Shehu Jafia, MNI. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Dr. Nasir Sani Guazo, MNI, MPOM. Essays to Mr. President attached to the Honorable Minister, Chief Executives and Heads of Agencies of Humanitarian Affairs Ministry and that of Information and Culture present, Directors of both ministries, Editors, Bureau Chiefs, other members of the press that are seated, ladies and gentlemen, I want to formally welcome you all to the 23rd edition of our PMB Administration Scorecard Series 2015 to 2023. This platform, like you already know, gives opportunity to ministers of the Federal Republic to share their success stories in terms of performance, progress reports, and achievements to date. This platform also provides the media an opportunity to ask the ministers pertinent and germane questions on the account of their stewardship. To those who have been following us, this platform has featured 22 ministers of the Federal Republic, and today we have as our special guest the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Ajia Sadia Umar Farouk Sadiq. Honorable Minister, I welcome you. Thank you for coming. With the kind permission of the coordinator and the chief moderator of this engagement, Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, I would like to recognize the presence of the following dignitaries in our midst. Let me start from the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. I've been privileged to know that the Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEPA, is here in the person of Mustafa Abib Ahmed. Please, wherever you are seated, you will please rise for recognition. Thank you. We have the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Northeast Development Commission with us, Mohammed Goni Alkali. You're welcome. Thank you. Director General, National Agency for Prohibition and Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi. Okay. The Honorable Federal Commissioner for National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Mrs. Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, FSI. DG, we also have with us the Director General, NSCC, in the person of Dr. M.M. Omokaro, PhD, ably represented today by Mr. Kayode Fagbemi, the Head of Active Senior Centers and Support Services. Thank you very much for coming. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, from the list given to me, I also have with me the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, in the person of Mr. James Lalo. Okay. From Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, we have with us the two essays to Mr. President attached to the Honorable Minister. We have Mr. Shegun Adeyemi with us. Mr. Adeyemi, we welcome. Also with us, we have another essay to Mr. President attached to the Honorable Minister, Mr. Williams Adeleye with us. Thank you, Mr. Adeleye. The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Press Council, Mr. Francis Nwosu, is here with us too. Thank you so much. The Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria, Mr. Buki Ponle, is with us too. I welcome you. We also have with us the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, Malam Balarabe Shehu Ilela. Also with us, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have the Director General, Voice of Nigeria, in the person of Mr. Osita Okechukwu. Also with us, we have the DG Nahoto, Malam Nurasoni Kangiwa, you're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is very important I'll let you know that this engagement is beamed live by the Nigerian Television Authority, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, and the Voice of Nigeria. It is also streamed live on FMIC social media Facebook platform. It is also very important I guide you through the program for the day. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to start up this program, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, will give the opening remarks, after which the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs will now make a presentation. We will now move into a very important segment of this engagement, which of course is the question and answer section. Please, to the gentlemen of the media, when we get to the question and answer segment and you are recognized to speak, you tell us your name, the media organization you are representing, and please kindly restrict your questions or your comments to the issues to be addressed by the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs in our presentation. And let us be decent enough in the use of language. Please let us avoid any distractive conversation or side talks that could distort the flow of communication. I want to thank you all for your readiness to cooperate with us. Having said this, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my special privilege and honor to invite the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture for his opening remarks. Honorable Minister, sir.
I actually thought I was able to resolve the dispute between the MC and the DG of the NCMM, but apparently I have not succeeded. So I recognize you, President Tijani. Abba, thank you, you're here. The Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Ajia Sadia Umar Farouk, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Ms. Lydia Shehu Jafia MNI, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Dr. Nasir Sani Guazo MNI, MPOM, Special Assistants to the President on Media 1 and 2, Directors General, Chief Executive Officers of agencies and directors of the 2 ministries present, editors and bureau chiefs, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. And Tumba Nshiwe is the DG of the National Council for Arts and Culture. You're welcome also. I welcome you all to the 23rd edition of the PMB Administration Scorecard Series 2015-2023, which was launched last October to showcase the achievements of the Buhari administration. We have so far had presentations from 22 honorable ministers. And these are the ministers of Works and Housing, Transportation, Aviation, Interior, Agriculture and Rural Development, Finance, Budget and National Planning, Water Resources, Environment, Mines and Steel Development, Science, Technology and Innovation, Power, Niger Delta Affairs, Women Affairs, Sports and Youth Development, Police Affairs, Petroleum Resources State, Health, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Communications and Digital Economy, Federal Capital Territory, Industry, Trade and Investment, and Foreign Affairs. The Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is our special guest today. I will invite the Honorable Minister to make a presentation shortly. But before then, let me use this opportunity to assure Nigerians that the federal government is mindful of the inconveniences currently being endured by citizens as a result of fuel supply disruption and the recent redesigning of some Naira notes. Government is working assiduously to restore normalcy to these critical enablers of economic activity and to take added measures where necessary to alleviate the pains of Nigerians. Recall, ladies and gentlemen, that after his meeting with progressive governors on Friday, Mr. President Buhari urged citizens to give him a 7-day window to resolve the currency crunch that has emanated from the implementation of the Naira redesign policy. Unfortunately, 3 days later, on Monday yesterday, some opposition political parties ran to court to obtain an injunction restraining Mr. President and the CBN from extending the February 10 deadline for Nigerians to exchange their old notes for new ones. The court action came after a number of opposition parties threatened to boycott the 2023 general elections if the deadline was extended. These curious actions by the parties concerned is clear evidence that the opposition has turned this whole issue into a political game, preferring to make Nigerians suffer more on the altar of an unconscionable political gamemanship. Or how else can one explain the fact that these unscrupulous opposition parties do not want any action that could reduce the pains being experienced by Nigerians? How else can one explain the fact that they have decided to legally hamstring Mr. President, in particular, from providing any relief for Nigerians suffering from the cash crunch? It is bad politics when you put the interest of desperate political parties over and above the interests of Nigerians, the same Nigerians whose votes you earnestly seek. One thing is sure, though: the desperate actions will not save these sinking political parties, as voters have already seen that they are the real enemies of the people and not Mr. President or the All Progressives Congress. And despite the antics of the opposition, rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, that the government is willing and able to take decisive steps to bring succor to Nigerians in the shortest possible time. Finally, please permit me, on behalf of the federal government, to most sincerely congratulate Nigerian artist Timilade Openiyi, popularly known as Tims, for her 2023 Grammy Award. By dint of hard work and uncommon creativity, Nigerian musicians have continued to take the world by storm and make the country proud. We hope this remarkable achievement by Tims will spur her to greater heights and serve as an inspiration to other artists who are also eyeing the highly coveted honor. It is now my privilege and pleasure to invite the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development to take the podium. Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, my big brother Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Culture, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, heads of agencies of both my ministry and the Ministry of Information and Culture, as is to the President in the Office of the Honorable Minister, directors of both ministries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this ministerial press briefing, and also a great honor for me to be here at this present time in President Muhammad Buhari's administration. I feel highly honored to be given this opportunity to serve my country in the best way I can. I am leading this very important ministry, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development, whose core mandate is to touch the lives of the poor and vulnerable in our country. As my brother, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture mentioned, the purpose of this gathering is to acquaint the Nigerian public with the activities and programs of this administration in general, and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development in particular. As you can see from the screen, slide 2 on that screen shows an outline of my presentation. I will start with the history of the ministry, highlights our achievements and activities, then conclude with our plans for the remaining days of this administration and hope for the future. Slide 3 speaks on the ministry's core mandate or creation, which is the ministry was established on the 21st of August 2019 by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari to serve as the government establishment supervising, coordinating activities, and tackling humanitarian and socio-economic issues that have affected Nigeria and Nigerians in the last decade. Issues like poverty and displacement of citizens as a result of insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, separatist movements, farmer herder crisis, and many more. Since its creation, the ministry has canvassed all the nooks and corners of our great nation, delivering much needed assistance to the most vulnerable in our societies. During disasters, the ministry and its agencies has been on call providing basic relief materials to victims all over the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Slide 4 speaks on a picture of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari in Borno State during the celebration of the 2022 International Humanitarian Day. While slide 5 speaks or shows the ministry and its management team, my humble self, the Permanent Secretary, and the directors of the ministry. Slide 6 shows the leadership of the ministry. Slide 7 shows the ministry and its agencies and programs. On the screen, you can also see the interrelationship between the ministry and the 6 agencies and 2 programs under its supervision. And these agencies are the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons, the National Agency for Prohibition and Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, the National Senior Citizen Center, while the 2 programs are the National Social Investment Program and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals. Slide 8 speaks on the vision of the ministry, which is to create sustainable and inclusive social systems that promote human dignity in Nigeria, while the ministry's mission is to coordinate, promote, and strengthen social systems that provide support for humanitarian needs, integrating best practices, mechanisms, and solutions through effective utilization of data, research, and planning. The mandate of this ministry is to develop humanitarian policies and provide effective coordination of national and international humanitarian interventions, ensure strategic disaster mitigation, preparedness, and response, and manage the formulation and implementation of fair, focused social inclusion and protection programs in Nigeria. Slide 9 provides an overview of the government's priority areas. Slide 10 shows that the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development is contributing to priority area 7, which is enhancing social inclusion and reduce poverty. Slide 11 speaks on that since the ministry has been able to initiate, since its creation, it has been able to initiate the development of several policies and the review and update of some existing policies. The policies are listed on the screen, and this includes the National Policy for IDPs, the National Disaster Risk Management Policy, Revised National Disability Policy, the National Social Protection Policy in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget, and National Planning, and other stakeholders, and many more as listed. Slide 12, the ministry has developed also strategic plans which, when fully implemented, will have great impact on coordinating and managing disasters at all levels in the country. And these plans include the National Contingency Plan 2019 to 2021, the National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan 2022, the National Action Plan on Human Trafficking in Nigeria 2022 to 2026, Protocol for Identification, Safe Return and Rehabilitation of Trafficked Persons 2022, and many more as shown also on the screen. We also work in close collaboration with other MDAs to ensure the actualization of these policies and plans. The ministry is actively developing relationships with MDAs in line with its mandate that border on health, education, and social security. The ministry is also working with the Ministries of Labor and Employment, Finance, Budget, and National Planning, Agriculture and Rural Development, Information and Culture, Youth and Sports Development, Women Affairs, Education, Defense, Communication and Digital Economy, Foreign Affairs, and all state governments and the Federal Capital Territory, as well as strategic agencies such as the ICPC, DFCC, ONSA, and the DSS. These partnerships are geared towards providing support for poor and vulnerable citizens through the different programs and projects of the ministry. The subsequent slides highlight program implementation by the ministry and its agencies. Slides 13 to 16 shows the agencies' contributions to this, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons has the mandate to safeguard the interests and treatment of internally displaced persons, refugees, and asylum seekers, as well as coordinate migration. Here we highlight some of the activities of the NCFRMI. Through this agency, the government supported 3,297,628 IDPs, including host communities with basic needs. It has also facilitated the signing of the declaration of 4 city-states, which are the FCT, Cross River, Benue, and Lagos, in Nigeria as refugee-friendly cities, making it a total of 287 refugee-friendly cities in more than 40 countries. It has also distributed food and non-food items to about 7,836,944 households across the country. It has also carried out several projects such as building skill acquisition, training, empowerment, which targeted 2.9 million persons of concern, and this includes our refugees, returnees, and IDPs that have been trained and empowered in various skills such as fashion design training, photography, etc. It also has a project called Project Educate All, which is a new initiative that was created from 2021 to date and is being implemented in the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa State, Kebbi State, Katsina State, Lagos, Kano, and Zamfara State as pilot phase. This project Educates All with the theme Readers are Leaders was conceived in line with the Commission's work plan to address the growing challenge and learning needs of displaced persons, as well as ensuring accelerated learning in an emergency setting in line with global best practices. It also has a project Skill Up, where 10,407 persons of concern were trained in pilot phases of Cross River, Sokoto, Nasarawa State, and FCT. This Project Skill Up initiative is also an empowerment project designed to integrate all persons of concerns back into the society by empowering the beneficiaries with skills and helping them with start-up capitals and start-up packs in various skills, trades, and businesses of their choice. On the screen are many other projects that are ongoing in the Commission. Slide 17 speaks on the activities of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, which has the mandate to enforce and administer the prohibition, prevention, detection, prosecution, and punishment of trafficking in persons and related matters. On this slide, we show some activities of the agency, and the agency, working with relevant stakeholders, carried out the repatriation of trafficked persons from various countries. And this includes reception, profiling, debriefing, counseling of these trafficked persons coming in from Cyprus, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Libya, Ghana, Burundi, Burkina Faso, UAE, Algeria, Morocco, Niger, Chad, Niger, and Senegal. Victims were brought to Lagos and Abuja. They were reunified with their families. The agency also carried out investigation and prosecution of TIP cases, trafficked in persons. It has also liaised with IOM and relevant CSOs for victims training and empowerment. Slide 18 to 19, ladies and gentlemen of the press, as you may know, natural and man-made environmental disasters like the recent flood happened nationwide has led to issues of displacement and distorted development in several parts of the country. The National Emergency Management Agency, as its mandate states, has been at the forefront in coordinating federal response to emergency preparedness, mitigation response, and recovery in the country. During national emergencies, NEMA plays a critical role in coordinating resources towards efficient and effective emergency response management. The early warning system, after the prediction and early warnings from the Nigerian Meteorological Agency in its seasonal climate prediction for 2022 and Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency 2022 in its annual flood outlook, the National Emergency Management Agency was directed to immediately utilize the available data to commence early action as stipulated in the 2022 Federal Executive Council approved National Flood Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan. And that comprised preparedness and mitigation activities. This includes technical meetings to analyze such climate predictions. It also includes letters to state governors on impending flood disasters in 2022, along with risk mapping of states predicted to have above normal rainfall in 2022. These letters were sent to all the states and the federal capital. The National Consultative Workshop was also held for the flood preparedness, mitigation, and response in Nigeria. This was conducted sometime around August. NEMA Territorial Zonal Operation Workshop on Climate Risks was also carried out for preparedness, mitigation, and response. This was conducted by our zonal, territorial, and operation offices, press conferences, releases, TV and radio appearances, advocacy, media campaign, etc. Slide 20 to 21 shows that in preparation for the flood, the ministry through NEMA focused on the following to ensure effective coordination. And this includes the provision of specialized equipment, including boats repositioned across all NEMA zonal territorial operational offices in the country. Relief materials were stockpiled in all the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. NEMA zonal territorial operation offices in 16 states, including FCT, were alerted to commence handshake meetings with stakeholders, including 68 military disasters response units across the country. NEMA also created a dashboard for up-to-date monitoring of situations in concert with the regional emergency operation centers for 2022 flood disasters in the country. So once the floods came, search and rescue operations commenced, and the provision of life-saving emergency materials for victims. The search and rescue efforts covered 25 states, 199 local government areas, 1,020 communities. Sadly, despite these efforts, our early warning and actions coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, the statistics from an impact analysis done on the 2022 flood disaster summarized that 4,476,867 persons were affected, 2,437,411 persons were displaced, 3,181 were injured, 605 lives were lost, 181,705 houses were partially damaged, while 174,381 were completely damaged, and 676,945 farmlands were totally damaged. The federal government approved the release of 12,000 metric tons of grains, rice, sorghum, and gari from the National Strategic Reserves for distribution to all states. NEMA distributed these relief materials to the 36 states and the FCT in 3 tranches, reaching 216,345 households, synonymous to 1,298,070 persons. The ministry also responded to other disasters such as repatriation of Nigerians in Ukraine following the breakout of hostilities with Russia. The Northeast Development Commission is on slide 29 of this presentation, and this commission receives and manages funds from allocation of the Federation account for the settlement, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of roads, houses, schools, hospitals, and business premises of victims of insurgency, as well as tackling menace of poverty, illiteracy level, ecological problems, and any other related environmental or developmental challenges in the Northeast. The Commission has carried out a lot of activities in the region, particularly in areas of education, agriculture, and health. Here is a photograph showing the commissioning of health center for IDPs at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The NEDC also carried out infrastructural development in the region, which includes the construction of 3 blown-up bridges on Mubi-Madagali Road in Adamawa State, construction of 32-kilometer Garikida-Davna ongoing in Adamawa State, construction of 22.5 Jere Bawal Zambalmari Road network ongoing in Borno State, construction of culverts and drainages on Alkaleri Futuk Road ongoing in Bauchi State, construction of 54-kilometer Mutai Ingalda Road ongoing in Yobe State, construction of 2.2-kilometer road and drilling of solar-powered boreholes at Federal College of Education, Hong, Adamawa State, construction of 53-kilometer Gombe-Aba Kirfi Road in Gombe and Bauchi States. It has also constructed 1,000 mass housing units at Ungom in Borno State. It has constructed also 500 mass housing units each in Adamawa, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe states, respectively. On slides 31 and 32 is a picture of the 1,000 mass housing project for IDPs in Borno State and the Kuzum Bridge along Mubi-Bama Road in Adamawa State. The NEDC has also carried out a number of health interventions, medical outreach to over 10,000 beneficiaries, has constructed and equipped molecular laboratories across the 6 geopolitical zones, across the 6 states in the zone. It has also constructed and equipped burn centers at the university in Maiduguri, Adamawa. It has also donated ambulances and ventilators and other essential medical equipment across the states. It has constructed the Faculty of Medicine, Accident and Emergency at Modibo Adama University. It has provided anti-snake vaccines at Snake Hospital in Kaltungo, Gombe State. It has also provided some generator sets at the Federal Medical Center, Gombe. It has constructed a fire service station in Bauchi State University. It has constructed a medical emergency unit at Tafa Baleari University, Bauchi. It has also supplied equipment of ophthalmology center in Lingi, Bauchi State. The NEDC has also carried out education and agricultural interventions, such as the construction of a center for the study of violent extremism at the University of Maiduguri. It has constructed mega schools in each of the 18 senatorial districts in the zone, and this school has 16 classrooms for 1,200 students, 6 laboratories, hostels for 480 students, perimeter fence, commercial centers, medical power facilities, security, among others. The Commission also established the NEDC Education Empowerment Fund, which is to develop human capital in the Northeast Zone through scholarship awards, training and retraining of teachers, health workers, and other professionals, as well as construction of blocks, classrooms, and teaching materials. On agricultural interventions, it has distributed tractors, motorbikes, and farm inputs. It has constructed a farm center or farm centers. It has also constructed stores, toilet security posts, nursery shed in Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe states, respectively. It has also trained agricultural extension workers. Slides 38 and 99 shows that the activities or the creation of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. This commission was created on the 17th of January 2019 by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari. It assented to the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2018, and on assumption of office, this gave birth to the creation of this commission in 2021. The commission is charged specifically with the responsibility of ensuring the inclusion and welfare of persons with disabilities as enshrined in the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2018. My hope is that the commission, through its mandate, will ensure that the education, healthcare, and other socio-economic rights of the persons with disabilities are protected in this country. As a ministry, we shall continue to support and ensure maximum inclusion of persons with disabilities in our programs, and thus call on all other stakeholders to embrace disability inclusion through the Commission for a Better Nigeria for all citizens. Nigeria currently has 28 million Nigerians living with disabilities. The Commission has developed its strategic plan 2022 to 2026, which is to implement programs and activities that will guarantee full inclusion of persons with disabilities into the society. The next is the National Senior Citizen Center, which is another remarkable achievement of this administration. The National Senior Citizen Center was established with the composition and inauguration of its board in June 2021, with the mandate to identify the needs of senior citizens and to cater for them. The center has programs that are organized around 8 themes, all looking at how poverty reduction, health and wellness, and social services systems can improve inclusion and quality of life of all senior citizens and the most vulnerable amongst them. The center has also developed the NSCC 10-year strategic plan and commenced its operationalization on national policy on aging. It has also a high-level technical support programs and activities. It has done medical outreaches. It has also done a high-level advocacy visits to traditional and religious leaders, as well as the private sector roundtable. Slide 42 to 43 here, we showcase the flagship poverty reduction program of this administration, which is the National Social Investment Program. The National Social Investment Program has touched the lives of millions of Nigerians since its inception in 2016. It has been a key instrument in uplifting the lives of the poorest of the poor and providing assistance and hope to millions of Nigerians. Before I discuss these 4 NC programs in more detail, let me once again restate them as the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, the Job Creation Unit, which is the NPower, the National Conditional Cash Transfer, and the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program. The National Homegrown School Feeding Program has 9,990,862 pupils that are being fed in 36 states and the FCT. It has 128,531 cooks employed from the local communities. It has 96 aggregators enrolled to supply cooks with protein used in feeding the pupils. It has local farmers that were engaged to supply locally grown food. The Empower program has 510,000 youth ages from 18 to 35 years enrolled in batch C1, and 490,000 youth 18 to 35 years enrolled in batch C2. They are receiving a stipend of 30,000 naira monthly. When the program commenced in 2016, it also had 2 batches. Batch A of 200,000 and batch B of 300,000. The JEEP program, which has the components of the trader money, that has 348,027 registered individuals. The market money has 382,368 registered individuals, while the farmer money component has 412,388 registered individuals across the country. The cash transfer program, the conditional cash transfer program, has paid 1,940,325 vulnerable households across the 36 states of the Federation, and the FCT has paid the sum of 5,000 naira monthly, and 355,000 vulnerable persons have also received grants for the vulnerable groups, a cash grant of 20,000 naira in 36 states and the federal capital. This program came on board, the grant for the vulnerable groups, in 2021 when we experienced the pandemic. Slide 44 shows some beneficiaries of the NC program. Slide 45 shows that Nigeria has 3 registers of these beneficiaries. The first is the National Social Register, which serves as the building block of the Social Protection Program and currently contains data from 36 states and the FCT, from 748,000 local government areas, over 15.3 million households, and 61.5 million individuals. We have the data of these individuals in the National Social Register. The second register is the Unified Register of Beneficiaries, which captures data of IDPs in 7 states, 94 local government areas, 273 households, and over 1.1 million individuals. The next slide shows the third register, which is the Rapid Response Register. This register captures data of urban poor and individuals whose daily income was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. It was initiated at the peak of the COVID-19 in efforts to provide support to citizens whose income was mostly affected by the pandemic. And this register captures the data from 36 states and the FCT, 650 local government areas, and about 2.7 million individuals were validated and captured, while 1 million of such individuals were given the support of 5,000 naira for a period of 6 months. On the conditional cash transfer program, let me state here that this program has implemented activities which commenced in 2016. With 8 states and the 3 IDP centers in Borno State. And as at today, the CCT is being implemented in the 36 states and the FCT. About 2 million beneficiaries receive cash transfers, and over 94% of the households have female caregivers. The federal government of Nigeria funded all components of the conditional cash transfer until 2018, when the utilization of IDA funds commenced. This slide shows the CCT in figures. Cash transfers are delivered to beneficiaries through CBN licensed payment service providers. They operate an electronically managed payment system leveraging market-based solutions. And also it has digitize these payments, which was successfully conducted. New bank accounts opened for all the beneficiaries, about 1.9 million of them, and the funding of beneficiaries' account also. It has also distributed and activated the debit card to these beneficiaries, and beneficiaries are cashing out their entitlements at their convenience, as against the cash that we give out. The next slide shows progression on the enrollment of this program. We have what we call the core responsibility top-up. This component commenced implementation in 2017 in all states, in 11 states: Jigawa, Bauchi, Plateau, Niger, Ekiti, Osun, Oyo, Cross River, Kogi, Anambra, and Kwara. It is designed to address deficiencies in human capital development among the beneficiaries. The menu of core responsibility is focused on health, nutrition, education, and environment. States implementing core responsibility selected, or they select only one out of the menu. And the objective of this component is to increase children's school enrollment and attendance, to improve utilization of health facilities for ante and postnatal care, child immunization, to improve child nutrition, and to address environmental hazards, to improve productive assets. A total of 118,808 CCT beneficiaries in the 11 states earlier mentioned received an additional 5,000 per month, complying to the conditions. The next slide shows livelihood units of this program. The livelihood pilot was implemented in 6 states: Anambra, Bauchi, Niger, Cross River, Jigawa, and Oyo, across the 6 geopolitical zones, and 12 local government areas, 2 from each state. And the achievements recorded thus far is that a total of 238 CTFs in 12 livelihood pilot local government areas have received trainings on life skills, micro businesses, and coaching and mentoring, while 4,242 productive household members in the 6 pilot states have been trained on life skills, micro businesses, and coaching and mentoring, while 134 community volunteers for individual coaching and mentoring have been selected and trained to deliver individual coaching to other beneficiaries. The 4,242 productive household members have been paid a productive grant of 150,000 naira. The Empower program, which is the job creation program with graduate and non-graduate components. This program has enrolled the following vulnerable youth to date. Batch A has a 200,000 number, Batch B 300,000 as mentioned in my earlier statement, while Batch C1 has 510,000 youths and Batch C2 490,000 youths. In total, we have 1.5 million of these youth, unemployed youth, that are being engaged and being supported monthly. The next slide shows the distribution of Empower beneficiaries during the different periods and across the country. The next slide shows the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, which is geared towards social protection, poverty reduction, capacity building, and investment in people. The scope of this program is providing 1 free nutritious hot meal a day, and is made from locally sourced agricultural produce to pupils in primaries 1 to 3 in public primary schools across the states of Nigeria. The major objectives of this program are to increase school enrollment, improve school attendance, and reduce malnutrition in school-age children, while stimulating the local economy through the utilization of local agricultural produce provided by smallholder farmers and engagement of local community members as cooks on the program. The next slide shows some models of kitchens being constructed nationwide to be used by cooks in cooking for these children. Next, the slides on 64 to 66 highlight some of the achievements in implementation of this program. There's an increase in cost of feeding from 70 naira to 100 naira. The ministry has also commenced enumeration of these pupils. The key objective of the exercise is to verify and validate the existing data of beneficiaries, the digital capturing of the beneficiaries, primary 1 to 3, pupils, cooks, and head teachers, and also the creation of a database for the National Homegrown School Feeding Program itself. We also distributed utensils to participating states to use for the feeding of these pupils. We also provided a standardized menu, and also a nationwide cooks training was done. And the next slide shows some of the activities and processes in the implementation of the different components of GEEP, the Government Empowerment Enterprise Program. Under the various schemes like the trader money, market money, and farmer money, more than 1.14 million vulnerable Nigerians have been registered, and the disbursement of loans is ongoing. The next slide shows or presents our efforts to ensure effective monitoring and evaluation of all our programs through routine data collection, spot checks, and periodic evaluations. We have enrolled the services of 7,500 independent monitors across the 774 local government areas to support in monitoring the national social investment programs. We have also received the support of our international non-governmental organizations, Save the Children, and 18 civil society organizations as third-party monitors for the national social investment programs. And these monitors provide additional layer of monitoring for these programs. The ministry also carries out routine monitoring across the country on a quarterly basis. Impact assessments were also conducted on a periodic basis to measure the effect or impact of these programs. Next slide shows pictures of some independent monitors of the program. While the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development was created to do this, to provide effective coordination of all these interventions to ensure strategic disaster mitigation, preparedness, and response, and also to manage the formulation of programs geared towards social protection and inclusion in this country. Today, the ministry has directly touched the lives of over 15 million individuals and their families. Through the commitment of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, these life-changing programs have been institutionalized and continue to receive necessary funding. It is our hope that the media, our friends, will continue and partner with us to disseminate information on available interventions and call our attention to areas of improvement. In conclusion, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank all staff of my ministry and volunteers. We have many of them that have made these achievements possible. I also want to recognize the media as friends of the ministry, and it is our collective responsibility to work hard and work hand in hand to get the correct information across to the public. In as much as the ministry has done quite a lot in delivering on its mandate, it is still facing numerous challenges, such as funding. Nevertheless, it is my duty to make sure that these challenges do not impede our efforts to build a sustainable social protection apparatus that will protect our most vulnerable citizens and restore hope to the hopeless. I therefore reiterate the commitment of actualizing our efforts of promoting human dignity. With this ministerial press briefing, I want to assure the general public that the ministry will continue to discharge its duties with greater focus on the strategy to lift many Nigerians out of poverty in the nearest future. I also wish to reiterate our commitment to the vision of creating sustainable and inclusive social systems that promote human dignity in Nigeria. I thank you very much for your attention, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, they said a woman cannot be assessed with the words of her mouth alone, but by her ability to stand before a quality audience like this and deliver qualitatively. To me, the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs has contributed positively to the development of our society. Let's give the Honorable Minister an applause. Once again, before we go into the question and answer segment, let me quickly recognize the following dignitaries once more. The Managing Director and CEO, Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, Mr. Mohammed Goni Alkali, you're welcome. The Director General, National Agency for Prohibition and Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, I welcome you. Honorable Commissioner for National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Mrs. Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, FSI. Otumba Olusegun Olusewe, DG National Council for Arts and Culture is here too. I welcome you, Otumba Olusewe. The look-alike of Professor the DG NCMA, Professor Abaisa Tijani, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, IA Global Consulting, Alhaji Ibrahim Abdullahi, you're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have been informed that the National Coordinator, National Social Investment Program, Dr. Umar Bindri, is here too. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Okay. Thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, quickly we'll just go into the question and answer section. Please, can we have one house, please? Please, can we have one house, please? At this point, I want to declare the floor open for your questions, please. Please, when you are recognized to speak, you tell us your name, the media organization you are representing, and please restrict your questions to the issues addressed by the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs in our presentation. We appreciate that. Please let us maintain a very good silence so that we can have a good interaction at this question and answer segment. The Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Mr. James David Lalo, is here too. Thank you so much for coming. Gentlemen of the media, I want to declare the floor open. Yes, 1, 2, Okay, we have just 2. 3. Okay, thank you very much. Please give the microphone to my sister. Please, let's have you. Your name, your media organization, and please. Go ahead.
Good morning, honorable ministers. Happy New Year to you, ma'am, and good to see you. It's been a while. My name is Amaka Ude-Walker, senior correspondent to Arise News. I just have a couple of questions. No doubt, in just 4 years, what you've actually achieved, no one can actually deny. We've seen you all over the place during the pandemic and even beyond the pandemic. So, of course, we have to commend you for all that you have done. But your ministry is not without controversies. Yes, we've seen certain amounts being peddled around in regards to how much has been disbursed to your ministries, but there are still controversies as to if you are actually reaching out to those who really need the help. But my question to you directly is, what would you say is your biggest achievement in this ministry under President Muhammadu Buhari, especially for the poor and vulnerable, which you're out there to really take care of? And also, I want to add, how impactful, if I ask you directly, would you say all of these interventions that you've reeled out from the SIPs and all of them, how impactful would you say it has been to the over 80 million Nigerians who are still living below the poverty line? Those are my questions, just directly to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll take the second question, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister and all the people on the high table. My name is Sonny Daniel. I work with Vanguard newspaper. I want to thank you for all the programs you have undertaken to add value to Nigerians and lift them out of poverty. But 2 issues are urgent. Number 1, can you now tell us that Nigeria, through the efforts of your ministry, now has a national emergency response strategy that will enable the ministry or NEMA to respond swiftly in case of a national emergency, such as we witnessed in Turkey and Syria yesterday? And secondly, the National School Feeding Program, how does a state qualify to participate in the National School Feeding Program? Is it a program for APC states, or is it a program for APC, PDP, all the states? It doesn't matter which party you belong. It's a very good question to clear, because some people give the impression that, oh, this program only happens in APC controlled states. So speak to us. How does a state qualify to benefit from the National School Feeding Program? And what qualifies a person to be a beneficiary under the conditional cash transfer? And the ones meant for the most vulnerable, poorest of the poor, what qualifies somebody to benefit from those programs? And what disqualifies another from not benefiting? Thank you very much.
Before we take the third question, please, I want to plead with those at the back. Please help us. We want to have a robust interaction. Let's maintain silence. And I want to equally advise all the media houses doing live coverage to always cover the sign language ban. It's part of the communication policy of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Please, we want to plead with you to just do that. We'll take the third question, please. Yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Adil Ani. I write for the Punch newspapers. A few days ago, there was a fire incident in Borno which affected over 200 IDPs. I would like to know whether the minister has any plan to help out, or whether you have reached out to the state government on what could be done to address their plight. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, you may wish, please, to respond to some of the questions, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. Let me start with Amaka from Arise News. Thank you for your kind words. We've been through it together during the COVID. You are covering all the activities of the Presidential Task Force. So you are talking from a point of view of an informed person. Yes, Amaka, I will say that my pleasure and joy in this job is what I've always been saying, that if I were to be given another ministry, let's say petroleum, for instance, or I were given the choice to choose between petroleum and humanitarian, I would rather choose to serve in the humanitarian ministry. I say this with every sense of humility and responsibility, because I see myself as really being honored to be given this job by His Excellency, Mr. President, to cater for those people who are in need. I find pleasure in doing that, giving support to the poor and the vulnerable as best as I can. Service to humanity, there's no better joy than that. And secondly, when you see the faces of those individuals whom you have given this support, whom you have touched their lives, it gives you another double joy or double pleasure. Because to see people who are hopeless have regained their hopes now, people who are in dire need of help, and you are giving that help, there's no better joy than that. So this is what I would say to your question. I feel highly, highly honored to be given this task to do. And then you asked how it impacts to the over 80 million Nigerians that live within the poverty line. I can tell you it is impactful to those who we've been able to reach. But considering the number, 80 million is quite a huge number, and the limited resources at our disposal, we can only do what I have mentioned earlier. We wish we could make everyone comfortable in this country. And that is not very possible, but we're doing our best. And we have impacted on these lives. People who before could not feed, they can now afford to feed themselves and members of their families. People who did not have any form of business to do have been supported now to have some sort of capital to start their businesses for them to be productive members of the society. But given the available resources will impact more lives. Let me also mention here that when this administration came on board in 2015, I think the statistics then showed that over 75% of our populace live below the poverty line. The story is different now. I don't know the exact statistics, but it's in the ranges of, is it 45 to 48? So we have made significant progress in this regard. Sonny from Vanguard, thank you for your questions. Oh no, I think it's not. I think it's Sony that asked that question. I'm coming to that. You want us to tell you the efforts that we have recorded in our national response on disasters. I mentioned earlier in my presentation that we a national flood plan that was approved by the Federal Executive Council sometime last year, and that plan has been activated and is what we use to respond to the flood as presented. It happened or any other disaster that may come up as first to emergencies or disasters. I think NEMA is doing quite a lot in that. Homegrown school feeding program. If you want to know how a state qualify, all states of the federation that have public primary schools, they do qualify. And all states of the federation and the federal capital territory are on this program, irrespective of party affiliation. And also to add that this is a federal government program, but it's being implemented by the states. The state governments select the cooks. They also select the aggregators, because it is our belief that these schools, these primary schools, belong to the states. So we give them the opportunity to also participate. So all states and the FCT benefit from this program. And you also asked what qualifies a person to benefit from the conditional cash transfer. This is a very interesting, is a program that is being supported by the World Bank. And the selection process has been done very transparently because the communities themselves, the leaders of the communities, come together to identify the household that qualify as poor and vulnerable. In that composition of the leaders of the community, we have the community leaders, we have the religious body, you have the youth body, the women body. They come together and identify this is a household that qualifies and that needs to be supported, depending on what that community regards as poor, as poverty in that community. It could be that this household cannot feed their family 3 square meals or two square meals, or even a meal per day. That household qualify to be given this cash support of 5,000, or that they cannot afford to take their children to school, or that they cannot afford to go to the hospital, depending on what they term as the poverty index of that community. So it is the community that identify which household is poor and vulnerable. Myself here as Honorable Minister, even in my state, Zamfara State, I don't know who is benefiting from this program. I have no input to it, let alone any other states. So it's a very transparent and very credible process that, as I mentioned, has been supported by the World Bank, and this support using this process. The other, and then also the communities that qualify even to be given, the support is those local areas that are very poor. It's not in all the local government areas of a state that we give. We started with those local governments that are most poor, that live below the 6th or 7th decile of the poverty index. These are the people, these are the communities or the LGAs that are being supported. For instance, in my state, Zamfara State, we have 14 local government areas, but we're only supporting the most poor 7 out of them. Likewise, in all other states of the Federation, because of the limited resources, we wish we could do all the communities. And my brother from Punch newspapers, you mentioned how prepared we are, especially on this issue, or what we have been able to do on the unfortunate fire incident that occurred in an IDP camp in Borno State. As you are quite aware, we have the National Emergency Management Agency, who is the first respondent, and immediately they move to the field to support. And we also have the Northeast Development Commission that is also there to support, and assessment is ongoing. I'm expecting a report very soon, but we have moved to the field and we are supporting with the basic relief support.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Members of the press, this is the much we can take for today. We want to thank you all for your time. We thank the Honorable Ministers, the Permanent Secretaries, Chief Executives, and very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of this engagement. May we please rise as we take the national anthem. Thank you, and God bless you all.